Well, good morning and welcome to the annual Minnetonka Schools Alumni Brunch. It is great to have you here today. We've got a record-setting crowd to honor all of our distinguished alumni and staff members. So my name is Jeff Erickson, the principal of Minnetonka High School. This has been a phenomenal week. Today is the final day of homecoming, and we had a great win last night. Our team is 5-0, and it's just been a phenomenal, tremendous energy. Last night, we broke our record for Einar Anderson. I think we had over at least 8,500 people at the game, and so, and all well behaved. So it really was a special night. So today is an important part of our tradition that we honor our alumni. It's fun to see in the crowd staff members that I worked with when I started here in 1993 that are being honored, and also some of our students that I had as well, and all of those who contribute to our community. So it is a chance to recognize all of the outstanding achievements and contributions that our graduates and faculty members have made, and as you'll see today, that they continue to make in our community. So we're thrilled that you're here today. To those being honored, congratulations. We look forward to telling your story this morning. Our first speaker is David Law, Superintendent of Minnetonka Public Schools. Following Superintendent Law will be the Minnetonka Alumni Association President, Marietta Jacobson. Welcome, and we'll be starting just right now with Superintendent Law.
It's great to see so many community members back with us. As I was getting ready to come up here actually last night, Principal Erickson and I had bumped into Marietta when we were at the alumni parade, and she came up and she said, "Hey, be funny." Thank you. That's all I needed right there. You're welcome, Marietta. I've had the privilege to work in Minnetonka for 3 years, and for those of you who haven't seen me, you haven't heard this, when you're in Minnetonka and you've been here for 3 years, 3 years as a superintendent, that's a pretty good run. In Minnetonka, people say, "So you're the new guy." And that's because at my table are over 50 years of district leadership. Dr. Don Dreyer, one of the few national superintendents of the year from Minnesota, who worked here from 71 to 95, which is an incredible run as a district leader. Through financial challenges of the 70s and 80s and the expansion and contraction of the district, he handed it over indirectly to Dr. Dennis Peterson, my predecessor, who grew the district from 7,200 students to 11,000 students by offering high-demand programming. And it's been an honor. I've worked in 5 different school districts in my career, coming most recently from Anoka Hennepin. And while that is my home, like this is your home, I can very comfortably say there is no place like Minnetonka for what we offer our students. This is truly an incredible place for students to find their passion and excel, as you can see today in the program. One of the people who was taking pictures today said, "So what do you love? What's been great?" Well, we are in the business of opening doors for people so that they thrive. And what I love is to see our current and former students chasing dreams and really improving the world if you look at our district's mission and vision. So this is one of those moments that reminds those of us in education, this is what we do. We put people in a chance to be successful. We support very talented teachers, and we hope our students have an amazing experience. So for those of you being recognized today, as I read through your credentials, whether it be distinguished alumni, successful students, or successful teams, congratulations. I didn't have the benefit of working with any of you, and yet I'm incredibly proud of you, and I'll brag about you in the community. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Good morning. I'm Marietta Jacobson. I'm in my 2nd year as the president of Minnetonka Alumni, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to the 15th Annual Alumni Awards, sold out today. It's the first time it's been sold out since COVID, so that's pretty cool. We started this organization in this brunch in 2009 as a way to honor and recognize all the accomplished alumni and faculty who inspired us. Over the years, the event has just grown and grown until you see what you see today. Before we begin the program, I want to introduce and recognize the Minnetonka Alumni Board. They work really hard for our teachers and our students because our fundraising all goes to the teacher grants. So we have Scott Merriweather, so you guys need to stand. I know it's a little tight, but Scott is our treasurer. Then Laura Forslev, she's our secretary. Dan Hyland, he's our past president. Hold your applause until we all stand. Gail Thacker Ostahauge, I still screw up on that name. Max Zinn, I always get that name right. If you need to sell your house, he's your guy. Matt Andrews, Brittany Whitner-Storer, Carolyn Peterson-Conley, and our student rep Tyler Clare. He graduates, he's a senior this year, but he's decorating for homecoming, so. Let's give them a round of applause. At your table is a program. Inside you'll find great stories about all our award winners, as well as a couple of things I want to highlight. First, I want to invite you to each to submit nominations for next year's Alumni Awards. There are so many talented and amazing skippers. Plus, think of all the teachers that made a difference to you, or the coaches that made a difference to you. And Lynn Cravey is here, coach. Lynn, wave. He was the best coach. You can also find information about making a gift to the Minnetonka Alumni Association. We can always use money, and that's at the back of the program. As part of the Minnetonka Association's commitment is to support our fabulous students and teachers. So the teachers apply for grants, and then we fund them. And my favorite grant is this one. We funded the copyright for The Wizard of Oz. I can't believe it, that's so old, but you still have to pay for it, $3,500. And it was so the 6 elementary schools could put on the Wizard of Oz, which was pretty cool to have the young kids being able to do that. So last year we gave $4,000, and as you know, we had our all-class reunion this summer, and we raised enough money to fund our teacher grants for 4 more years, so we're pretty excited about that. I want to thank all of you who attended the all-class reunion, which was July 27th. Did anyone go? Woo-hoo! Okay, so then you know, over 2,500 attended. We drank 106 bottles of wine and 20 kegs of beer. But the best thing we did is Panera gave us their water truck because remember it was 91 degrees that day. Anyways, as I said, we've got enough money to fund the teacher grants for 4 years. So, and then write this down, our next all-class reunion will be July 2028. I'm sure you'll want to come to that. A couple other things that I want to mention is at 12 noon, our student government kids, well, they're not really kids, I guess, they're 17, but they're going to do tours of the high school. So if you haven't been here for a while, which I'm guessing some of you haven't, it's incredible. All the technology and the smart boards and stuff, it's about 20 minutes, and you'd want to do that. We're going to meet over here if you want to go on a 20-minute tour. And then tomorrow at 3 o'clock over in the theater, that way, Mr. Dan Geldert, who was our band director for 35 years, is leading a free concert tomorrow. A lot of alumni are going to be sitting in on that concert, playing. And he lives in Colorado, and so he's flying in for that event tomorrow. So that's over in the theater. And then we'll have a reception here afterwards for all those alumni. Then you probably saw our merchandise table. And I want to tell you about this cup. So this cup, it bleeds Minnetonka Skipper Blue when you put cold in it. So cold beer, cold wine, cold pop. Do you see how it's turning blue? It bleeds Skipper Blue. So I also want to thank all of you that went on to Everbright and donated money already for us. That's just fabulous. And we, like I said, we use it for our teacher grants. With that, I'd like to say welcome. I hope you enjoyed the food, and I hope you enjoyed the event today and all the speeches. Now, I want you to know I'm the one that put the Kleenex on the table because some of the speeches are really touching, and I always cry. So that's why you have Kleenex. Thank you.
We begin our program today with the 2 recipients of the Distinguished Alumni Award. The Distinguished Alumni Award is Minnetonka's premier alumni honor, recognizing distinguished professional achievement, leadership, or service toward the greater good. Our first honoree is Greg Hoffman from the class of 1988. Greg is the former Chief Marketing Officer of Nike and has more than 27 years experience as a global brand leader. He now advises Fortune 500 companies, startups, and nonprofits through his own company, Modern Arena. Introducing Greg is Tim Carroll from the class of 1989.
Hey everyone, my name is Tim Carroll. I am a graduate of Minnetonka High School, class of 1989, and I am honored to say a few words for my buddy and lifelong friend, Greg Hoffman, today, as he is receiving this honored award from Minnetonka High School alumni. So it's a lot of fun thinking about Greg and where it all began with both of us. We met when I was 2 years old back in Tonka Bay, Minnesota. So we were youngsters. We grew up with great families and just an amazing experience growing up in Tonka Bay. We had so much fun running around with that freedom in the 1970s to just do about anything we wanted. That primarily revolved around playing every sport we could think of. But we also did other things like finding our creative side with painting and drawing and coloring and tracing. So we became best buds early in life, and then we went on to get great education, starting with Excelsior Elementary and then going through our junior high system. Once we got to Minnetonka High School, it was a whole different level, and I think that's where Greg really hit his stride. He was an excellent athlete. He ran 4 years of track. I think he lettered every 4 of those years, doing the high jump, the hurdles, as well as the relay races. He had 4 years of soccer, including 2 at the varsity level. Excellent defender. And I think he even played a year of basketball. So, fantastic athlete. In addition to that, I think he found his love and his stride with art, thanks to his teachers surrounding him, which ultimately led him to Minneapolis College of Art and Design, where he received a major in graphic design. He excelled there, ended up getting a exclusive internship at the Walker Art Center his junior year, I believe. In addition to that, he received an internship at Nike, where he drove to the West Coast in his parents' van and had an internship for a summer there, which ultimately led to a career at Nike. And he never looked back. He was there for over 25 years in the creative team, moved up the ranks every step of the way, where he ultimately became the vice president of global design and ultimately the chief marketing officer. So not a bad success story there when you think back on his 25 years. He ultimately retired a couple years ago, but I always tease him, I don't think he actually retired. I think that's a misnomer, as since he has retired, he went on to write a book called Emotion by Design, which is an international best-selling business book published in multiple countries and languages. He is a professor at the University of Oregon, teaching students about brand building and design. And not to mention, he's traveling all over the world speaking to major events and corporations, as well as Fortune 500 companies. So I joke with him all the time, he's never really standing still. I think the most important part about Greg that I want to share with everyone is just his traits on how he was able to succeed and be so successful every step of the way since he was a kid. Greg, first and foremost, is one of the most driven guys that I know. He has always, since I've known him, been very goal-driven, where he sets his mind out to what he wants to do. He calculates a very specific plan on how he's going to get there. And more importantly, he follows through on it until he achieves his goals. It's something I've always admired about him and tried to replicate myself. The second part that I think is fascinating about Greg is he is constantly curious. He is always seeking out the latest in anything and everything, from technology to gadgets to sports equipment to film, music, traveling the world, you name it. He is constantly looking for what's next, how to consume it, how it can actually impact his life, and keep him moving forward. I think most importantly, everything he's done is done with class and professionalism, and I'm sure all of his coworkers and his fellow students and classmates can attest. He is just the most genuine guy. He's humble, he listens, he's empathetic, and I think that really goes a long way when you're trying to achieve things and just be a good person in general. So, most importantly, he is a great friend of mine. I know he's a tremendous son to his parents, Gary and Jackie, to his brothers and sisters, Colleen, Jessica, Phil, and Darren. And then most importantly, the family that he built with Kirsten and his son, Rowan, and his daughter, Isla. So I am so proud to be able to congratulate Greg on this great award. I wish him all the best. I congratulate everybody else that's received this award in the past. I hope you have a great day. And most importantly, go Skippers. Cheers.
Well, I first want to thank the Minnetonka Alumni Association for this honor. I also want to thank you for your continued commitment to building the Minnetonka Public Schools brand and the community of teachers, alumni, and students. Just an amazing job. Secondly, I want to thank Tim Carroll for that, I'm a bit biased, but for that Oscar-worthy video right there, and that incredible beard he's put on. But as Tim said, I mean, we met very early on, and on the mean streets of Tonka Bay. But just an incredible partner and brother, and someone who has been very instrumental in my life. I also want to thank my dad, who submitted my name to the reason why I'm here today. And not only is Gary Hoffman my father, but he was also a part of the Minnetonka Public Schools and taught at Minnetonka High School. So you can imagine I had extra incentive to stay focused while I was here. And the word focused is code for stay out of trouble. So thank you for that, Dad. But I want to thank Minnetonka High School for the continued commitment to cultivating a culture of creativity, investing in art and design education within the public school system. Certainly at a time where you see that being squeezed out of curriculums around the world. And for me, it was very instrumental in any type of success. I had the good fortune to spend the last 3 decades dreaming about the future, working with innovation, design, marketing, advertising, telling stories, creating experiences with the Nike brand and others. And really a catalyst for that was my art education within Minnetonka High School, specifically teacher Richard Cunningham. You see, walking into teacher Richard's class each week, it was as if someone flipped a creative switch. As if every time you walk through that door, it was like lighting a creative fire inside you. Because we all have it. Because creativity is not reserved for just a chosen few. Like, we all have creative capacity. It's not about who can draw the best, right? You just need an environment and individuals and mentors to draw it out of you. And certainly Richard's class did that for me, right? Made us look at things through a different lens, open up our aperture about what was possible, right? And held ourselves to a higher standard, right? That there was always something more within you in your creative pursuits. So I thank him for that. And just to punctuate that idea of everyone has creative capacity and Minnetonka's legacy of cultivating that within people. 3 years ago, I got a message on 23andMe, the DNA app. And what do you know? I got a message, and it turned out I had a sister I never knew. Also, that my new sister had also attended Minnetonka High School. And my sister also stoked her passion for design and art at this very school. And guess what? Like myself, went on to get a degree in graphic design, just like me. So imagine that, but it's no surprise, again, because creativity is both about nature and nurture. It's within you, but you need the right environments and the right individuals around you to draw it out. So thank you again, Alumni Association, Minnetonka Public High School, all the teachers and administrators that give their time. This is a very big honor for me, and I am deeply humbled. Thank you.
One more round of applause. Congratulations. The second recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Award is Dr. Michael Clark Steiner from the class of 1965. Michael has been a professor of American Studies for more than 40 years. He's taught a wide array of courses centered on American folk culture, regionalism, and architecture at California State University, Fullerton. Introducing Michael is Jennifer Steiner from the class of 1972 and retired teacher Lynn Cravey.
Our barn in Somerset Knolls, Minnetonka, was lined with a dozen cages Mike built and filled with rabbits, named everything from Rose, Cecilia, Stan, and Otto to Robespierre and Scheherazade. Who knows what Mike loved about the rabbits? Maybe they were soft and cuddly, had lots of babies. We especially cherish the memory of the white rat Mike brought home from school and threw in our beds. My name is Jennifer Steiner Tungen, class of 1972, and I nominated my big brother Michael Clark Steiner, class of 1965, for the Minnetonka Distinguished Alumni Award. I knew he was so deserving of this award by all of his achievements in academics and in track and cross country. Coach Lynn Cravey will tell us more about that. A quote which reminds me of Mike is by the playwright and novelist Max Frisch. Time does not change us, it unfolds us. At an early age, Mike was curious about history, learning, reading, and yes, rabbits. Most of our family are baby boomers who grew up in the Minnetonka in the 1950s and 60s, and with Mike, the oldest of 6 children. He took time to tell me all about Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr way before the musical, loved Bob Dylan, and devoured books. Mike always loved to read. Once on a trip to downtown Minneapolis to have some fun with his junior high buddies, he was lost and was eventually found in the Christian Science reading room, engrossed in the newspaper. He was always a good student and managed a paper route in which he showed kindness towards his clients by helping and introducing them to his family. All of this and much more led Mike to all of his awards and accomplishments in teaching and writing as a professor of American Studies at California State Fullerton. Thank you, Minnetonka Alumni Association, for recognizing Michael Steiner for this prestigious award.
My name is Lynn Cravey, a former teacher and coach at Minnetonka High School. I have known Mike Steiner for 62 years as a coach, teacher, and friend. His accomplishments as an athlete and scholar are well documented. He did, however, admit that my higher algebra class was the easiest of all. Right, Mike? His college and graduate studies show competence beyond most of our levels. At the table that you are sitting, there are some information about all the courses, etc., that he has taken over the years and experience in other schools and internationally. We kept in contact during his years at Carleton and his gatherings in Minnetonka. Those years showed me the true character of the man. It's been a pleasure for me to follow Mike's expanding education and his sharing through many outlets. Mike's sense of humor fits well with his other talents, and he was always ready to be part of any discussion. Just ask him and he'd be ready. My teaching experience connected me with 4,000 plus students at Minnetonka. In the light of all of his accomplishments, Mike is one of the very best from Minnetonka. It is my honor to present Mike Steiner as a Minnetonka Distinguished Alum.
Okay, I want to thank Minnetonka High School, obviously, for this immense honor, and I hope I can begin to express my feelings about growing up in this place and all that it has meant to me. I have, as you noticed, I have 5 siblings. 4 of them are here. One of them couldn't come. Jenny, you saw her, Andrea, Jilly, and Jerry, of course. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each of them if I can. And then I have in-laws here, John Manning, Galen, Colin Chisholm, and Galen Tongan. So I'm really lucky. And unfortunately, Janet can't make it. So as you heard, I'm the oldest of 6 kids. My wonderful war bride mother gave birth to me in 1947, and Andy was born exactly 21 years later in 1968 to my mother. So that's all 6 of us. My dad was a wonderful guy, a builder here in Minnetonka, and I really want to thank Jenny for nominating me. So it's a great honor. And in some ways, I feel a little bit like Lou Gehrig, who told a sold-out crowd at Yankee Stadium in 1939 that he considered himself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Well, I've been thinking about how grateful I am and all that I owe to my teachers and coaches here at Minnetonka High School, and looking back on them and how they helped launch me on life more than 60 years ago, I realized how interdependent we all are and how we build upon each other, standing on each other's shoulders. And the people who came before us, and hopefully we can do the same for those who come after us. And as I thought about this, I thought of Tom Joad's speech toward the end of John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath, and in which he tells Ma Joad, "A fellow ain't got a soul of his own, just a little piece, one big soul that belongs to everybody. A fellow ain't no good alone," he tells his mother. Well, that's true for me, and it's true for all of us. As the English poet John Donne put it so beautifully, although I'm going to plagiarize him a little bit, no man or woman is an island. I put in the woman part. We are all a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Well, and we're all part of what New England transcendentalists, one of my heroes, Ralph Waldo Emerson, called the oversoul. We're all one blood that flows uninterruptedly through all of us, all citizens of the earth. We're all equal members of the same human community. And this is a Minnesota tradition, this notion of a community, we're all in the same community, that has shaped all of us, you know, from Floyd B. Olson and Paul and Sheila Wellstone in the past, and Amy Klobuchar, Tim Waltz, and others in the present. I owe so much to my teachers at Minnetonka High School, who helped make me what I am, a teacher and a writer and much more. I had inspiring teachers here who made me
follow them and inspire others, hopefully. I'm deeply indebted to vivid English instructors who were here, Charlie Honig and Willie Chisholm. And I'll never forget when when John Kennedy was assassinated and Willie Chisholm announced it, and what a moment that was. You know, it was something to never forget. I was also deeply influenced by Nick Duff, history teacher, and a geographer, Howard Young, and my French teacher, Madame Fique. I think her first name was Eloise. I'm not positive about that, but she was great. And I was one of the few guys in French 4, but anyway, they taught me how to speak and write and express myself, to respect history and literature and other cultures, and to pass this along as well as I could to others. Every article and book I've published, every manuscript I'm still working on, believe it or not, I'm still trying to do this, and hope to publish, has been shaped by them. Every class I've taught at Cal State Fullerton during my 40 years there, or teaching as a Fulbrighter in Poland or Hungary, has been affected by these people. And they've made their mark upon me. And I'm equally indebted to my coaches. You've heard from Coach Cravey, a wonderful man, and Tom Bauman. I don't know if he's here. But Coach Cravey encouraged me to go on to Carleton College and continue running and studying there. That's where he had gone. And who helped me express myself through the joy of running. And the inspiration of Marty Benson. I don't know if many of you know about Marty Benson, but he was my hero, and he was 3 years older, and he said that, kind of patted me on the shoulder, and that I would do well, and indeed, he did inspire me. And to my friend Brad Brumfield, who can't be here, but he's the one who stooked me into going out for track and cross country. I was a shy kid, I wouldn't have done it otherwise. And to my classmate Bruce Johnson, who is a year younger, who's here, state champion Bruce Johnson, and many others. My brother Jerry, who went on to be a great runner at McAllister College, and he's here, obviously. And there are many others. Eric Roth, John Marshall, Dale Granger, Bob Silloway, Ken Kotzer, Kenny's here somewhere, Doug White, Eddie Hewitt's here, Kenny Bergman, Perry and Rosie Oakes. She's the only girl runner there was around, but I'll never forget Rosie Oakes. And so I'm forever thankful to their memories, and of being young and swift and sharing this physical exuberance with others and doing my best to pass this joy along in as many ways as possible. So all of these people helped launch me, and I truly hope that I've helped launch many others in return. And I'm expressing my heartfelt appreciation to my family and my friends, my teachers and my coaches who helped launch me and so many others, and to Minnetonka High School for granting this great honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Michael. Now we have the Distinguished Service Award. This award recognizes significant service benefiting the greater good. This can include volunteering, philanthropic leadership, military service, or contributions to the Minnetonka Alumni Association itself. The recipient of the Distinguished Service Award goes to Corby Kohler from the class of 1991. Corby is a lieutenant colonel in the National Guard and a former City of Minnetonka police officer. He has proudly protected his neighbors, defended Minnesotans against natural disasters, and served with distinction overseas. Introducing Corby is Craig Doles from the class of 1991.
Hello, my name is Craig Doles, and today I have the honor of introducing Lieutenant Colonel Corby Kohler, a member of the class of 1991 and this year's recipient of the Distinguished Service Award. Those of you that are at Minnetonka with Corby would recognize him as the tall kid in the sweatpants and Denver Broncos gear. He had an easygoing attitude and a love for all things football. After high school, Corby's first stop was Army basic training in South Carolina as a member of the Minnesota National Guard, then on to Bemidji State University for more football and a degree in criminal justice and sociology. Pursuing a dream of flying, Corby was commissioned as an Army aviation officer in 1998 and earned his wings after graduating from flight school in 1999. In 2000, he joined the Minnetonka Police Department as a patrolman, where he served his hometown for 3 years before taking a full-time position with the Guard. In addition to his flight duties, Colonel Kohler took on increasingly challenging leadership positions within the Guard. His career has been focused on both aviation and military intelligence, having served as the state's deputy intelligence officer as well as an aviation support facility commander. His career has taken him around the world, including operational assignments in Kosovo, Iraq, and Kuwait. Service has been a thread running through every aspect of Corby's career, serving his community as a police officer, his state as a key leader in natural disaster response, and his country as a soldier. He has served as an advocate for fallen soldiers, spearheaded changes in intelligence doctrine that protects other pilots, and made many personal sacrifices so that the rest of us can live the safe lives we do. Retired from the Army now, Colonel Kohler continues to serve others while working as the manager of business continuity planning and non-hospital emergency management at Fairview Health Service. He now has more time to spend with his family, including watching his own son play high school football, skiing, camping, and enjoying some well-deserved downtime. It is great to see Corby receiving some well-deserved recognition for his hard work in years of service to both his community and his country.
Well, I'd first like to thank the Alumni Association and then Craig Doles for that introduction and then for submitting me for this recognition too. I greatly appreciate it. And then I'm very honored and humbled to receive this recognition as they adjusted the criteria for this award to include military service. As Craig alluded to, retired about 18 months ago from the Army and the Minnesota National Guard. That was 32 years of total service and over 23 years on active duty in total. And so what prompted my retirement was chronic medical conditions were kind of getting to the point where I couldn't maintain flight status anymore. So that was at least part of the calculus. But my service included seeing combat and then 3 long overseas deployments as well. And a lot of times and over a year or more, a lot of times it's recognized on what the families deal with on those long deployments. But what's not recognized often is the short notice or no notice deployments locally or across the country that you end up going on, and then all the training and exercises that you do where you're gone for weeks and months at a time. So I'd just like to take a moment to recognize my wife, Angie, my son, Tommy, who was actually a part of the resurgent Hopkins football program. So he got a win, he was part of winning last night, and my daughter, Samantha, as well. So just thank you for putting up with all this and supporting me throughout my career. So they asked us to reflect on our time at Minnetonka, and for most Gen Zers, that doesn't seem, or Gen Xers, I should say, it doesn't seem like that long ago, and then you think about it and it was, well, 1990s was a long time ago. But I came away with 3 things that I think that put me here today, and it starts with Finger Hut, which that may sound weird, but stay with me here. But so my sister and I, we grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We were in a single-parent home, living off of welfare. My mom diligently got herself a college degree during that time frame. And then she got her first post-college job here at Finger Hut, and that's what dropped us into the school system in 1986. And I think even back then it was rated as like amongst the best in the state. So we were very fortunate on that side. And even though I was a pretty average student for the most part, the education foundation that I got from being at this school set me up for future success and eventually led to 5 degrees, if you can believe that. And I know most of my teachers probably wouldn't believe that. So, but yeah, I would just like to say thanks, Mom, for having the diligence to fight through that, get us to a better life, and for showing me that education can overcome adversity. The second thing is, and Craig alluded to, is football. That was my absolute passion all through high school. I think we played pickup football whenever we could. And I was on the varsity team here, although I didn't get on the field at all, which was incredibly devastating. And I don't know if it was booster parents or being in the wrong position or what have you, but I was really hoping to play football beyond high school. And if you know the percentages, that's very low. It's like 7% of all high school players play college football at any level. And then if you're not getting on the field, I think that's closer to 0. So, but I did my basic training and my advanced training and pushed to Bemidji State University thanks to Dr. Terrodes, and ended up being a phenomenal choice. But I was undaunted, so I decided to walk on to the football team there.
And I would walk on, start at wide receiver, and then earn a scholarship, and then go on to play 4 years at the Division II level, followed by 6 years of semi-pro football too. So, you know, but I don't bring that up as a kind of a callback, but what that did, at a time when I hadn't had a whole lot of wins at that point, that gave me the confidence to go on after another life dream, which was becoming an Army helicopter pilot. And then obviously succeeded on that, but I don't think I would have got there without having that success with football. And then the third thing is the decision to join the military. And that's a calculus that probably a lot of Minnetonka families are going through right now. Even though we had fought and got out of poverty, we had gotten to the point where we were just above the threshold for qualifying for any aid. So I was going to need a lot of help to be able to afford college. And I looked at all the different services, and for me, the Army National Guard seemed to be the best fit. So I joined during the Gulf War, shipped off to basic training a week after graduation, and then would go on to serve 32 years. But so the takeaway really was that between the football scholarship and the Guard benefits, that was enough to cover college for me for the most part. I came out with hardly any debt. And the other great benefit was between having to maintain eligibility and the requirements to get my educational benefits. That is where I ended up really just being able to stay on track and graduate on time. So kind of just to conclude, it was really the Army was a great fit for me. It was a great decision. I'm glad I did it. The military is not for everyone, but I will tell you everybody can benefit from it, and I will especially say young adults, because I don't think anybody teaches discipline and leadership better than the military does. And so I would highly recommend that any youngster consider joining the military at some point during their young adulthood. And I'm available here locally, so if anybody's looking for any advice or counsel on that, I'd be happy to provide that. And I just want to thank everyone for this. I'm very honored and humbled to receive this award. Thank you.
Next is the Young Alumni Achievement Award. This award honors alumni within 15 years of graduating from Minnetonka High School for distinguished post-secondary academic achievement, professional achievement, distinguished leadership, and/or distinguished service toward the greater good. Congratulations, Laura Hampson, neighbors from the class of 2009. Laura was inspired by her volunteer work at the Courage Center during high school. She is now a passionate physical therapist who's dedicated her career to helping patients with neurological conditions. Introducing Laura is Chris Hampson from the class of 2006.
Laura, congratulations on receiving the Young Alumni Award. I believe the value of service to others was instilled in you during your time at MHS. You made the effort to volunteer with the Courage Center, teaching kids and young adults with special needs how to ski. After becoming an alumna of MHS, you attended the University of Iowa, and while you're studying there, you decided to go to Peru, Cusco, Peru, where you distributed shoes and helped install safer burning ovens in the homes of low-income families. After undergrad, you obtained your advanced degree in physical therapy and committed to helping others heal as your profession. You even earned an extra certification to work with patients with neurological difficulties due to stroke or brain injury. You give your patients hope in their sometimes very long recovery process. You worked with them even throughout the COVID pandemic, despite the health risks to yourself and to your family. You've also been involved in the local Parkinson's Foundation, planning and attending fundraiser events. And your efforts there help not only our father, but others diagnosed with Parkinson's disease to live a fuller life despite their diagnosis. Congratulations again on your award. I am so proud of you and can't wait to see what else you do in your career and in your personal life to continue helping others. Cheers.
Good morning, everyone. First off, just want to say thank you to my brother, Chris, for nominating me for this award. I feel very honored to be chosen for this award among a lot of really other successful Minnetonka alumni. Hard to believe it's been 15 years since I graduated. I went to Minnetonka for my entire K through 12 schooling, and I am grateful for the education that I received. Minnetonka prepared me well for college and my graduate school. There were top-notch teachers, a large variety of class options, and extracurricular activities that provided me with opportunities to discover my strengths and things that I love to do, including the sciences and helping others. Things came full circle when I accepted my first job after physical therapy school with Courage Kenny after volunteering for the then Courage Center Adapted Ski Program as a high school student. I've worked there for over 8 years, helping people with neurological diagnoses get better on a day-to-day basis. If you ask any of my coworkers, I am maybe to a fault the type of person that will go above and beyond my job duties to ensure my patients have what they need to be successful. My job has taught me that our bodies are complex and we should never take our mobility for granted. Thank you all for being here this morning. Thank you for giving me this award. Thank you to my parents for your support, and thank you to Minnetonka for providing me with an educational foundation that helped me pursue my career as a physical therapist.
All right, congratulations, Laura. Now we will induct a new team into the Skippers Hall of Fame. The Skippers Hall of Fame recognizes outstanding achievement by a singular group in arts, athletics, or activities. This year's inductee is the 1999 MHS Fast Pitch Softball Team. The 1999 team was the first softball team in MHS history to win a state championship and ended its all-star season with a 21-5 record. The team excelled with record-breaking performances and numerous all-conference and all-state players. Introducing the 1999 MHS Fast Pitch Softball Team is Coach Mary Beth Wake.
It is my pleasure to introduce the 1999 Minnetonka High School softball team for induction into the Minnetonka Alumni Hall of Fame. I was fortunate to coach the women who would take home the championship trophy on June 5th, 1999. The 1999 team was anchored by the pitching and catching duo of Lynn Pyer and Kristen Nagel. Pyer pitched all of the games that season with Nagel behind the plate. Pyer's statistics were record-breaking. She pitched 195 innings and gave up only 7 earned runs while striking out 328 batters. In the opening game of the season against St. Louis Park, she struck out 19 batters in a 7-inning game as the Skippers won 11-0. Pyer and Nagel would be named to the All-State softball team for their outstanding play during the 1999 season. The Classic Lake Conference was competitive in 1999, and Hopkins and Armstrong both had outstanding teams with pitchers who would lead them to state titles in 1998 and then in 2001. Minnetonka would not win the conference in 1999, but won the Section 6 AA tournament with key wins over Eden Prairie, Armstrong, Orono, and Burnsville. In the state championship game in Mankato, Morgan Ginther would deliver a key hit to send the Skippers to the first softball title for Minnetonka High School. The infield was anchored by Michelle Boyes at shortstop, Brenda Westerman at third, Ashley Murray at second base, and Sophie Roining at first. Their defense would be critical in many of the games decided by 1 run that season. The outfielder was led by center fielder Stacy Town, right fielder Morgan Ginther, and left fielder Libby Hewitt. The team was cohesive, and Sarah Webster, Bethany Stevens, Lindsay Burton, Janet Nagel, and Becca Reason added to the hitting power for Minnetonka and would help lead the team the following year to back-to-back state championships. I have had the opportunity to coach many varsity softball teams for Minnetonka High School, but the team of 1999 will always be special because of their determination, skill, and the joy that they brought to the season of 1999. These women defined what a team can accomplish when all players work together alongside of each other with the common goal of bringing out the best in each other. Congratulations to all of you for this well-deserved honor.
I'm Stacy. I was one of the co-captains of the 1999, thank you, team. And we want to start by saying thank you to the Minnetonka Alumni Association for welcoming not only our team this morning, but our family and friends. It's hard to believe that it's been 25 years. Woo! 25 years since our team won Minnetonka's first ever state championship. In addition to the honor, receiving the award that has reunited our team, given us an opportunity to reflect on our time together and celebrate our achievements. After 1999's win, this team never played together again, so this honor has welcomed new opportunities to reconnect, search through old photos, and share many fun memories. In 1999, as Mary Beth talked about, we put together an amazing season of 21-5 wins and defeated former state champions. And not only did we, bring home awards and trophies, but we have left behind 1999 conference champ, section champ, and state champ. 25 years later, we are honored. We are grateful to be here, to be not only with our coaches and our families and our friends, but we wanted to take a moment to thank some particular people, and we wanted to start with our parents. You all had to adjust your lives. You had to work around our practices, our game schedules. You had to buy us new helmets, the new gloves, and the Dot Richardson bats. They were not cheap. But now some of us have kids, and we get it, and we love it, and we say thank you. In addition to Mary Beth and Tree, there are many coaches here who helped us get to where we are. At a young age, we were not only taught the skills of the game from an amazing group of coaches that are here with us today. It wasn't just about the W's, it wasn't about the medals. You guys gave us a greater lesson. You showed us what it meant to not only love the game, but to love the game that we played together. And with that, that's what made us unstoppable. And so today, if you are able and would like to, we would like for some of our favorite coaches to stand. So as I read your name out, please stand if you can, and then we would like to give you a round of applause. Papa Burton, I don't know if you're here. Is he? Yes, you are here. I didn't see you. Miles Ginther, Ed Hewitt, Megan Murray, Bruce Murray, Doug Nagel, Ken Pryor, Jerry Reason, Harry Webster, and my papa, Greg Tone.
Thank you. I'm Ashley Madra, one of the co-captains of our 99 softball team. In addition to our youth coaches, we would also like to thank our Minnetonka coaches. So Teresa Johnson, Mary Beth Wigg, lovingly known as Tree and MB, kept us focused in practice and in during games, and always challenged us to be the best versions of ourselves on and off the field. We also owe you a long overdue apology for decorating your landscaping with toilet paper art on occasion. Who knew that 20 years later, that would have been a gold mine hanging in your trees? We really appreciated how you repurposed the decorations the next day at practice when you created those additional opportunities for strength and speed conditioning with every single little bit of that toilet paper that we left in your yard. We also wouldn't be here without our super fans who showed up at our games and gave us the best cheering section that we could ever ask for. Whether it was friends, siblings, grandparents, everyone knew that the stands would be full and cheering us on. Lastly, we want to thank our MHS teachers and administrators for all of your support. Thank you for your unwavering support of student athletes. It was all of your extra efforts behind the scenes that truly allowed us to succeed academically and organizationally. Additionally, your support both on and off the field also inspired some of us to become educators as well. While we are very, very fortunate to have many people here with us today, we also know that there are many that are here with us in spirit, and we would like to take a moment to acknowledge those who have passed but are still here with us. I'll begin by honoring our teammate, Lindsay Raleigh, number 4. Lindsay is our beloved teammate who passed away from cancer in high school, but continues to live on in each of us each day. We would also like to honor and remember the following family members who have passed, but are here with us in spirit. Karen Burton, Sandy Hewitt, Wes Westerman, Harry and Helen Stevens, and many more grandparents and relatives who are part of our journey. We love you, we miss you, and we're grateful for all that you shared with us. In closing, on behalf of us millennials making up this 1999 softball team, we would love to share some advice with the young athletes with us today. Find a group of people who share your passion and go all in. Be present and enjoy the ride. Learn from when you lose, celebrate when you win, and in the end, if you do those two things, then one day you'll be able to say, let's turn around, team, in it to win it, and we did it. It's on the back of the shirts. So in closing, thank you to the Minnetonka Alumni Association for this recognition. We are honored to be here to receive it and celebrate with all of you today. And lastly, congratulations to all the other incredible nominees. We are honored and humbled to be standing here with you today. Congratulations and thank you.
Our last two honorees today are being inducted into the Minnetonka Faculty Hall of Fame, which recognizes former teachers and administrators who inspired in students a passion to excel with confidence and hope. Congratulations to our first inductee, David Stearns, who's being honored posthumously. David spent over 30 years coaching boys and girls tennis at Minnetonka High School. He was known for transforming players into their best selves and led the girls tennis team to an undefeated season during his last year as coach in 2020. An amazing teacher and coach. Introducing David, Abby Steiger for the class of 2015 and Elizabeth Wright from the class of 1994.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Wright. I am a 1994 graduate of Minnetonka High School. I played tennis for Dave Stearns in the 1990 season and have the great honor of introducing him and helping induct him into the Hall of Fame. Dave was not only a wonderful coach on the court, somebody who really wanted to take time and had patience and just had this great, very even keel personality on the court for me, but he was an even better person off of the court. I say that because I went through some family issues. My mother had a severe mental illness and in 1990 was actually institutionalized. So during that tennis season, Dave really became someone who was one of the few people who knew what was going on in my life and my personal life and really helped guide me along with my family, of course, my dad and my grandparents. But he really helped guide me and make sure that I stayed on a path that was that was good, and I didn't make that turn that I could have made. Dave was somebody who would listen to me, who would make sure that I was okay. He was so much better off the court than he was even on the court. He touched so many people's lives. I know that no one knew what was going on with me other than Dave on that tennis team, and that really meant a lot to me. That meant that I had a safe place to go where I could talk and not feel like I was getting judged at a time as a freshman in high school when that's always very difficult. So for that, I'm always going to be grateful to Dave for really making sure I was okay. You move forward, it's now 30 years since I graduated, and Dave passed away a couple years ago, and it brought me to tears. It brought me to tears because I didn't get to say thank you one more time, tell him exactly how important he was, and really explain to him which way I could have gone. That is what you want in a coach. That's what you want in a human being. That's what you want in a representative of a Hall of Fame. He is he is that guy. He was that guy. He was the one that would always be there for his students, for his players. I know he did awesome things on the court. I know he took care of a lot of people off the court. But for me, Dave Stearns is someone that deserves not only this honor, but so many more honors that you can't even count. I think, really the only thing left to do is name those courts after Dave Stearns so that he can be remembered forever for what he's done and who he is in Minnetonka and as a coach, as a teacher, and as a person. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Abby Steiger. I graduated from Minnetonka High School in 2015 and had the absolute privilege of being on the tennis team when Dave Stearns was our coach. Dave was not just a coach to me, he was a mentor and taught me so much about life through the game of tennis, which he knew so much about. We were lucky as high schoolers to have Dave, who knew so much about the quantum mechanics, physics, and technicalities of tennis, and how the arm was an extension of your racket, and he knew how to teach us so much about how to use our bodies properly. We were really lucky to have him as our coach because it was like basically having a professional level coach in high school. And not only that, but he taught us so much about life lessons and just the daily importance of like taking time to appreciate the little things in life, stopping to watch the birds, or appreciating the fact that we had so many amazing teammates and support system, which is rare in the game of tennis because it is so much of an individual, selfish sport. But he would constantly remind us that we had so many teammates around us and we had to utilize that team atmosphere and the bonding to get us farther in the game, which we were lucky enough to make it to the state finals one year and almost defeat Edina. And overall, Dave was just such a unique person and one of those coaches and mentors that I still think about to this day, which is not very common. You have so many important people that you look up to throughout your life, and he's one that constantly pops into my head. So I'm so lucky that I got to meet Dave and had the privilege of being one of his students that he worked with. And we are so excited to congratulate Dave, even though he's no longer with us. But for this nomination, you so deserve it, and we are thinking about you.
Such a great venue and intro. Very nice. First, a quick, great to see Mr. Gallner, who's a favorite teacher of mine, and so many. I won't get into the full biomechanics of tennis, but I will say a few things. Looking through the names of the Alumni Hall of Fame, I see so many great teachers and coaches. I also see an exceptional group of individuals that have that rare gift of making connections to students and student athletes that can last a lifetime. It takes a high level of dedication and passion, as many of you know, to become an expert in any of the academic curriculums or athletic programs here at Minnetonka. That level of expertise combined with the ability to connect with students can lead to what we often refer to as a transformational coach or teacher. My dad had a very distinguished and unique career here at Minnetonka. He was on the coaching staff of a state championship basketball team, a head coach of 2 boys tennis state championships, a standout teacher in special education at both MMW and here at the high school. And for over 3 decades, he was the boys and girls varsity coach and started at the as an assistant varsity coach, I believe in '89 for the girls. I had the privilege of playing tennis 5 years for him, coaching 2 years as his girls and boys varsity assistant coach, and also 15 years of summer tennis camps working here at the high school, which are now 3 different sets of courts I actually worked and played on. A short story if I may, my first year coaching with my dad, many coaches from other schools approached me saying he needs to register to the coaching association so they can actually vote for him. When I first told my dad to register, his response was, and for those of you that knew him well, you can probably imagine how he would say this, but he said, I I don't coach for awards, I coach for the kids. After several attempts, somehow I managed to win that argument, and he did register. So shortly after that fall season, I got the call from him to meet at his favorite restaurant, Maynard's, and that was his way of thanking me for winning both section and state Coach of the Year. I now have a room full of Coach of the Year awards and plaques, a lot. So yeah, very proud. Awards kept coming in. In 2019, he was inducted into the St. Cloud Tech Hall of Fame as a three-sport athlete, quarterback in football, point guard in basketball, and to no surprise, a standout tennis player. The girls' tennis state high school tournament banquet of 2021, he was also inducted into the Minnesota State High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame. So after high school, my dad was a standout star player and captain at the University of Minnesota tennis team. He had a very impressive career as an elite tennis player and coach, even before his first days here at Minnetonka, now over 30 years ago. He had expertise coaching tennis players at every level, but ultimately that wasn't why he coached. In his words, it was the kids and seeing them progress as young adults and student athletes. It was all the former students that would come back to visit and thank him for his tremendous impact that he had on them and their lives. So eventually, I understood what he meant all those years ago when he would speak about being a transformational coach and what all that entailed. His decision to teach and coach here at Minnetonka was a great gift and opportunity for him to share his level of expertise and passion for helping others through teaching and coaching. It's a great honor for me to accept his induction into the Alumni Hall of Fame here. Thanks to everyone involved. Thanks so much.
Please congratulate our second Faculty Hall of Fame inductee, Ernie Gullner. Ernie is a distinguished teacher whose career is defined by a powerful commitment to student-centered excellence. His genuine passion for literature and the next level ability to connect with students enabled him to make a difference in the lives of so many students at Minnetonka High School. Introducing Ernie is Tim Session from the class of 1985.
It is an honor that has never crossed my mind, in that what I was doing was what I loved. And for the most part, I truly loved 99% of my students. That was what Ernie Gullner emailed me when I told him that I was going to nominate him for the Minnetonka Schools Teachers Wall of Fame. He said he had no chance of being selected because he had too many conflicts with administrators over the years that would come back to haunt him. He stood up for his students and thought he would be passed over because he didn't always play the game. I told him he was wrong, and I was going to prove it. My name is Tim Session, Minnetonka class of 1985, and it is truly my honor to introduce Ernie Gullner as the newest member of the Minnetonka Teacher Wall of Fame. It's so well deserved. Rather than sharing my own thoughts as I introduce him, I'll use the words of fellow Minnetonka alumni to share their thoughts on how Mr. Gullner impacted their lives and why they still remember him fondly after all these years. There are three areas of his influence that I would like to briefly touch on before you hear from him. I think those three areas speak well to how he influenced his students in his time at Minnetonka. The obvious role that Mr. Gullner played in our lives was that of a teacher. His job was to teach content, to inspire us, to spark our interest in English, literature, poetry, speech, and drama. He was the best at it. Former students described him as amazing, passionate, and authentic. They wrote that he taught content, but also skills for life. He made good communicators and writers, helping students in their academic careers later in life. He fostered critical thinking and forced his students to face their fears. He helped us to become passionate about what he taught. It wasn't always sunshine and roses, though, and Mr. Gullner could be very demanding as a teacher. His classes were never easy, and they challenged us to be our best. Many students recalled that clearly. One alum appreciated that he refused to accept mediocrity, setting a high standard that was tough to meet. He pushed his students out of their comfort zones and always had a rigorous workload. His style could stress his students at times, and not all of them met his challenges. He demanded excellence from all and gave us the tools to be successful. One classmate of mine said it best, remembering how he kicked our butts when we needed it and pushed us to be our very best every day. The biggest impact he had, however, was how he influenced our lives outside of the academic arena. For most teachers, it's easy to teach content, to impart knowledge on their students. For the great ones, it's not the content that they teach that matters, but the influence that they have in the lives of their students. This is where Mr. Gullner separated himself from many of the other teachers we had in our Minnetonka classes. One classmate shared, Mr. Gullner was tough, but he was caring as well. I remember his reaction when I told him my parents were divorcing. I could see the concern in his eyes. I still feel that he followed our classes to the high school because he was concerned for us. Mr. Gullner stood out in my mind as being a tough but loving taskmaster. The final thought that Mr. Gullner shared with me as he set himself up for the rejection and not making it to the Wall of Fame was this: I may not have taught all my students the nuances of literature, but I hope I was able to instill some life lessons that have come in handy or caused some thought and conversation. That's reward enough. No, that's not enough. You deserve to be recognized, and tonight you will be. Congratulations from all of us.
Before I begin, you young people are talking about, you can't believe it's 30 years. I'm starting to, I should have brought my walker, I'm telling you. Thank you, Jeff, and good morning. During my tenure at Minnetonka, I had the chance to teach a class called Introduction to Speech. And one thing I stressed to all of my classes was that you had to follow 3 rules. Be sincere, be short, and be seated. One of my students who listened and smiled, I didn't see anything humorous about it, but I looked and said, John, what's so funny? Gullner, your class is full of BS. He was right. As I was writing this, I had no problem with the being sincere part. I will have no problem with the being seated part. But the be short, not so much. This morning, I'll try to put into words and practice that which I expected of my students. You know, after teaching English for so many years, I'm hard-pressed to find the words to show you and tell you how honored I am. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Tim Senchen for the nomination and the Minnetonka Alumni Association for the nomination. Tim, I still have to smile at the rationale you gave me for your nomination. It's one of those things where a light bulb went on his head. I can't tell you why, I can't tell you how, because it's not proper, but I have to smile at it. It is with great humility that I recognize this. The accomplishment isn't mine alone. It represents the support, it represents the encouragement, and the collaboration of many individuals. The journey has been filled with challenges, triumphs, joys, sorrows. And along the way, I've learned a great deal. I was able not only to go professionally, but more important, and I thank all of you, personally. Every lesson plan prepared, every day in the classroom brought me to this moment. And for that, I am truly grateful. It's often been said that a good teacher makes all the difference in the life of a student. Now, I'm sure this will come as a surprise to some of you, but I disagree with that. I truly believe that it's the students who can make the difference in the life of a teacher, a difference that all of you have made in mind. I want to thank my wife, Martha, who could not be with us today, who encouraged me to pursue a teaching career, and to this day serves as my greatest mentor and model. And for those of you who think you're old, this coming year will be our 52nd anniversary. To my colleagues, to my mentors, especially Brian Helene, Bill Chisholm, and Doc, I don't know if you saw or not, but there was a little wave of air that went through when you called him Willie. I cannot forget the others, Lynn Cravey, Paula Christ, Randy Nelson. They were the ones who inspired me to push boundaries, to strive for excellence, and yes, try to maintain some form of patience. And although this will come as a contradiction to many of you, I feel it an honor to be able to thank Dr. Dreyer, Dr. Lovett, and Dr. Peterson, whom I cannot thank enough for all the backing, support, head shaking, and the freedom that they allowed me to have in my classroom. I hope that by being recognized today serves as a reminder that it's okay to take chances, and at times, go against the flow. That it's imperative to treat all students with respect, even though, for those of you who teach, you know that on some days that's difficult. And that if given that respect, the students will rise to one's expectations if the feeling is mutual. As I found over the years, all students have the potential to succeed in their own way. I found that once one earned their respect, one could push them to work hard, expecting and accepting only the best. And I must admit, very rarely was I disappointed. In closing, please know that my time in the classroom was not a career. It was a privilege. And reflecting on today, I have come to understand that the legacy we create comes not from recognition, but hopefully from the positive difference you can make in the world. Thank you for that opportunity. And thank you for this incredible honor.
Beautiful. Thank you. We also in the crowd have a number of other teachers. So if you're a Minnetonka High School teacher who has since retired or is still part of staff, just please wave or stand just so people can see all the different staff we have in the audience today. I always have many emotions at this event because I look out of the crowd, and what makes our school great over the years is a tremendous community that we have, and that people come back to our district to raise their families and contribute. So all of those who are honored today, we're just grateful and proud of the work you've done and the impact you've had, certainly your time here, and then well beyond. So please give them a round of applause. For those of us who are still in school here, our work is to continue the legacy of excellence that you have instilled in us. And every day, great things happen at this school. People often wonder, what are students up to today? As I said last night, there was over 8,100 students, but our students do live out the 4 A's, excelling in the academics, arts, athletics, and activities. They take great pride in wearing the M and how every year things can be better. This has been one of our finest homecoming, and it really is based on the student leadership that they have and how they want to make this school better. In about 8 hours or so, this area, that for those who have not been in the school for a while, this did not exist until 1998, and the Commons, the middle part of the building, did not exist until 2007. But about 8 hours, there'll be a DJ up there, and we actually have expanded. We'll have about 2,800 students at the dance tonight. So if you're still interested in a chaperone, we have about 2 more slots open. But there'll be nearly 2,800 students. We're very close to being able to call this a school day and count this toward enrollment. But we have a dance floor here and then in the West Gym, and students are here, and it will be a great evening. But they continue to serve and to make this school great. I hope you take advantage of the tour. I started Minnetonka High School in 1993, and much of what you're going to see did not exist at that time. Across the way, you'll see our Momentum building for the applied trades, in which we built several years ago, which has an auto bay and a maker space area. Last year they made an ice house, one of, like, not just a little 12 by 12, like a RV type experience where there is a shower and kitchen as part of that, but they built that as part of that program. The high school's expanded where it's also next to the District Service Center. Our Vantage program, which is the Applied Professional Studies, has 12 different strands. A few weeks ago, we had our mentor kickoff for students in that particular program, and all students in that program have a one-to-one mentor. And there were over 550 community members who are working one-on-one with our students and serving in a great number of ways. Part of that building opening up this year is our aviation program. We have Flight School 1, a 2-hour course, which is flight school and world history combined in a course, as we work to help students find their passion, their area of aviation. So just a couple examples of what was instilled in me when I started here is that we're a comprehensive high school centered on excellence, and that happens every day. So you set that stage. For those of you who are staff members and students, know that we take that responsibility seriously to make the school better every year. So to all the honorees, again, congratulations. For those that are here to support them, thank you for making this district so wonderful. There is a tour. They'll be starting over there. I really encourage you to take a look at the space. Or if you can't make it and have interest in any of the programs that we have, please reach out to me. Thanks for your time today. Before I forget, the photos will be available on the alumni Facebook page. We look forward to you joining us next year. I also want to thank all of our people in the technical world and communications, Daniel Campbell, Jackie Getty, Andy Smith, John Groats, and Brody, our intern taking photos, for all the work to make this event happen. Please give them a round of applause. Thanks so much for attending. We'll see you next year. Thank you.